G'day. This review is regarding the Maruzen Walther P99 Airsoft pistol. It is a 1:1 scale Airsoft replica of the first generation or original P99 pistols. It is highly detailed and accurate. For the start, with our logos on the front, we've got the Walther logo up along there and P99 there. On the grip you've got the Walther logo there. There's a small oval just on the front there that actually says Karl Walther Ulm Do for Ulm in Donau in Germany, which is where the original Walther factory was. On the other side, it's even got Walther 9mm by 19 and a phony serial number of 001-007. This is the Maruzen 007 release of the pistol, so it ties in with the James Bond movies. On the back there's yet another copy of the fake 007 serial number. Beneath that on the slide is another serial number, which I can only assume is the actual real McCoy serial number for this, and it varies from gun to gun, I presume. Along the front of the slide there, it says licensed trademark of Karl Walther GmbH Germany, and then it says that it's a 6mm Maruzen, and down the very bottom it's got a bit saying with the Maruzen logo, and at the back here there's a bit of a warning about reading safety manuals in English and in German. So as far as the trademarks on it are concerned, if you were just to display it up on a wall, for example, if you displayed it with the left side visible, all they would see would be the Walther logo, the P99, and the one saying Karl Walther Ulm Donau there, and the Walther logo there on the grip. It would look excuse me, an extremely realistic replica of the real steel. It's only on the other side that you start to get a few hints that it's actually an airsoft pistol. That, and when you look straight down the muzzle, no, I'm not going to shoot you, calm down. You can just faintly see up inside there on my camera, there's a fake barrel with the actual metal 6mm barrel recessed inside it. The gun is very accurate to the design, the size and shape of the real steel. Fits my hand perfectly, just like the real beastie does, and they've even gone to the bother of the proper full-sized magazine plate or magazine foot with the P99 and the Walther ribbon. The only big difference being there's a small little hole there which is for filling it with green gas. However, it probably doesn't look too different from the small hole you would have to recess the pin and take the foot off the magazine. Being the first generation, the slide release is not ambidextrous, and it's the small short slide release, and it's got the shorter magazine releases on the side of the trigger guard. The Generation 2 has longer magazine release and a long ambidextrous slide release. The second generation also has different grooves in the top of the slide for gripping it, and this has also got the squared, slightly hooked front to the trigger guard for when you're holding a double-handed thing, whereas the second generation curves around backwards, looks slightly different. It's a very good replica of the real steel first generation P99. As far as shooting accuracy goes, this is one of the best airsoft pistols I've ever owned. It's extremely accurate. I get some extremely good results target shooting at home with it. And I especially like the fact that it functions identically to the real steel. So if you were to use one of these as a training weapon, you would, because you owned a real P99 and you wanted something cheap to fire, or something that you could fire inside your own house in your leisure rather than having to go down to the range and shoot at the proper range, one of these would be ideal, and you would not have any difficulty in switching between this and the real steel. When you cycle the action on an empty magazine, it locks back, which means when the magazine runs out of BBs, in this case, it stays locked back. You then can eject the magazine, which on this is quite a large and weighty magazine. You've got a spring slide lever here. You can slide it down to make it easier to feed the BBs in through the top. You've got the striker at the back there, that when you hit that, it releases the gas, because the gas is stored inside the magazine. Standard green gas blowback kind of thing. You can stick in the new magazine, release the slide, and it cocks the pistol, and you have quite clearly visible at the back a raised red bump. You can feel it in the dark, just like the real steel. You can see it clearly in daylight, just like the real steel, and then that tells you it's cocked. And you can fire it with a short, gentle single action trigger pull. Of course, since it's not loaded, it hasn't fired, it hasn't cycled the action, which, being a gas blowback, of course, would normally happen with a full chamber of gas. It would fire the BB, it would cycle the action automatically, and you'd be ready to rock and roll for the next shot. There is, on the top of the slide, just like on the real steel, the decocking button. I personally find no difficulty in reaching the button with my thumb and decocking it. I don't have to bring up my left hand to do it. I can do it with my right-handed thumb with my finger well and truly off the trigger and just decock the gun like that. And it's now decocked. It's still, presumably if this were loaded, it would still be chambered and could still be fired with a long sustained double action pull on the trigger, which would then cycle the action, set it into single action mode, and away you go. I normally carry this in airsoft skirmishing games in loaded, chambered, ready to go, and decocked so that it can be carried safely in my holster. It's not going to go off by accident, but it is going to go off the moment that I pull it out, point it up range at a skirmishing opponent, and do a long pull on the trigger. And the pull's not that long or hard. Got nice white dots on rear and front sight for quickly lining up. It's a great skirmishing piece, it's a great target piece, and because it's Maruzen, it's an extremely accurate copy, which is just as well, because unlike the real steel, which comes with two interchangeable back straps that go, to go with this one does not. Comes with the standard medium backstrap, but it is, like the real steel, completely removable. You can drift out that little coiled spring in there, coiled pin in there, and then lift the backstrap off and take it off. Now I know for a fact that the grips from a genuine Walther P99 will fit on a Maruzen P99 replica. That's the degree of accuracy Maruzen has in their manufacture. So if you do have a real steel P99 and you are wanting to use a Maruzen as your training thing for home, and for ergonomic reasons you need the smaller or larger backstrap, I suspect you'll find that the small backstrap from your real steel, or the large backstrap from your real steel, will fit directly onto your Maruzen P99. I don't know that for certain, but just based on their track record and how accurately dimensioned this pistol is. On the whole, an extremely good purchase. I'm most pleased with it. I mean, my favourite pistol of all times is the Walther P99. I'd like to get a real steel one of my own, but that's not going to happen for quite a while. Until then, I'm going to enjoy target shooting and skirmishing with this beastie. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this review, and if you like my reviews and airsoft things, please subscribe. Feel free to leave any comments at the bottom. Have a good night.